Good evening, Wine Cup family. It's me, Samantha, and I want to introduce you to a very special guest and friend of mine, Miss Nancy Cordi.
Hello, everybody.
Tonight, we have something really special for you. Obviously, you're going to be seeing this through our October insert and receiving your October Wine Club wines. So let me pour us some wine first before we get started. Nancy?
Thank you.
So I'm going to start off tonight with one of our signature favorites, our Malbec, our 2020 Malbec. You will receive it here the first week of October and hopefully be joining us to cook what we're going to cook tonight. But our Malbec, as always, is a staple of the family, and y'all know we love steak. So this pairs great with steak. But tonight we're going to do something a little different, which we'll get into here in a sec. But first, we're going to say salud to you guys,
Salud.
as well as to ourselves. Salud, Nancy.
Cheers, friends.
Delicious.
Ooh. Wow. On so many levels. Delicious.
So Nancy and I met some years ago doing an event together when what were we doing? We were doing a ballet, like a charity.
Yeah, it was like a
type thing.
fundraiser.
Like a fundraiser for the ballet, the
Yeah.
local ballet school.
Yes.
And Nancy was the chef, and we were providing the wine, and so we worked together on kind of from the beginning to the end of like the food that was going to coordinate with the wine and sort of how all that was going to go. We formed a friendship and started going out eating and drinking together.
Yeah.
And having a good old time.
Been great ever since. Great ever since.
And you know, she does live actually around the corner from me, which is nice.
Yes.
And we both have a love of walking our dogs.
Yes.
But I wanted to just let you guys know that Nancy is a fellow Wine Club member.
Yes.
And she has shared a recipe with us before. You might have seen it in one of our older inserts last year, maybe?
I think it was a year,
or the
maybe two.
before, maybe two. And obviously, I wanted to include something different. I'm pretty much the one that picks a lot of the recipes that you see in our insert. And Nancy, I just think that we should tell everybody a little bit more about how you got into cooking, why you love it, why this recipe.
Sure.
So I'll just fire away some questions and they can enjoy it.
Absolutely.
And we'll take a few sips in between. I do hope that you guys are also opening a bottle, maybe not your new shipment, but if you have an older Malbec that you'd like to drink while you're watching and cooking, by all means, salud. There's a reason to always cheers and have a sip,
Just gets
right?
better from here.
Okay.
So good.
So tell me and our friends why you got into cooking.
Of course. Yeah, so I was born and raised in a Middle Eastern family. So I was, ever since I was just chin high to the table, I gravitated towards everything that all the women in the family were doing. From, the chopping, the cooking, the rolling of the grape leaves, everything. So it was in me from a very young age. So
You've never rolled any of our grape leaves.
I mean, yet. Next recipe.
Okay.
So I was self-taught for a majority of my life until I put myself through Escoffier and got my degree in culinary arts. That was about 6 years ago. So that was just like the cherry on the sundae. But up until that time, about 10 years ago, I was catering and I was working a 40-hour job, but I was also catering on the weekends because I just couldn't resist the passion of cooking. So, and then my husband and I moved out here in 2013. And then I got myself immersed in cooking and really involved in wine country, and that's fortunately where Sam and I met. Just started to present my food out here, and my focus is Mediterranean food. So as much as I love Middle Eastern food, it also just involves all the countries that surround the Mediterranean. So it's very fresh flavors, everything made from scratch.
Pairs great with our wine.
Pairs great with their wines, all throughout the year. So this particular recipe is perfect for fall, and it's a recipe that I had growing up, and my aunt and my mom made for me frequently in my childhood. But I kind of took it to another level.
Okay, we'll get into that in a second because
Yes.
I do want to just comment on the fact that so we grew up watching our parents cook. And so I think that that's something that we relate to from the family aspect. And you guys know that we love to break bread with not only our friends and family, but also with our Father. And so I think that that's a huge part of why we relate to each other so much too.
Definitely.
Is because, there's ceremony and there's a sacredness of, cooking together and then sitting down and eating together.
Absolutely.
And so cheers to that.
Cheers.
Another reason to drink.
Cheers.
I wanted to ask you, what brought you to Doffo Winery? Aside from we met, but you weren't a member until after we worked together.
Right.
So did you try our wines at our event?
Yes.
Or did you try our wines at the winery for the first time? Do you even remember?
See,
it
all of
been
the
a
above.
while.
All of the above. No, so when my husband and I very first came out here, I was literally hitting up all the wineries, and just full disclosure, many wonderful wineries out here, but your wine is exquisite. I mean, it just is. It's supreme. It's primo. It's rich, and you're a family winery. And I felt that love of being at your winery as well. And I knew that this is where I definitely wanted to be a member of. But just to bring that home, your wines are supreme. I mean, they're just beautiful. And the environment here, the lushness of it, your events that you have throughout the year, you offer so much to your guests. And I just wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Don't worry, we are gonna cook.
Yeah.
So, speaking of, I think we should get started because I'm sure everyone has their recipe in front of them with their wine club insert and they've read through it. Hope you went shopping and got all your fun ingredients.
Yes.
A lot of this stuff, actually a lot of people have most of the ingredients in your pantry.
Yeah.
There wasn't really anything that I needed to specifically go shopping for because I went really through my pantry and through the pantry at the winery to get stuff. So the only thing I had to buy were the cauliflower and the sweet potatoes.
The two main staples. Everything else you should have.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get to cooking, guys.
Awesome.
So I didn't even ask you, do you have a name for this dish?
I do.
What is it called?
Cauliflower sweet potato pancakes.
Oh wow, that is creative.
Mm-hmm.
Cheers to
Cheers
that.
to that.
All right, so we're gonna start by, you have purchased your cauliflower. I did it the cheater way and bought pre-cut,
which is fine.
Sweet potato.
That's great.
But you can.
Yes.
And so if you were to buy a whole sweet potato, do you have to cube it before you soften
it? helps.
Okay.
Yes.
And roasting or boil?
I prefer boiling. And I'll talk to you when we get over there to show you at what point you pull them off so they don't turn mushy and they stay somewhat tender and solid.
Sweet potato.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we kind of pre-did stuff because obviously we're doing this quickly.
Yep.
So we have everything ready to go. So step one would be, after you get your ingredients together, would be to boil the cauliflower for about how long?
So cauliflower is going to take a little bit longer to cook. The sweet potatoes actually cook really fast, so you have to watch those. I'd say if you have them all cubed uniformly and they're pretty much the same size, the sweet potato will take about 5 to 7 minutes to get to that desired texture, which is fork tender. We're looking for fork tender. Don't stick anything else but a fork through your cauliflower and your sweet potato, because if it's a knife, it'll go through anything. You want to make sure it's a fork and it goes through nice and softly, but there's some give, right? Okay. Because ultimately in the end, when you make it, you want everything to hold its integrity, have its integrity and texture. But the cauliflower could take anywhere between like a 15, 18 minutes at a boil, depending on how much you're using, but you don't want it to turn mushy and you don't want it to be super hard. So we're looking again for the fork tender, which I think we've ultimately achieved here. So another important thing that we should mention is adding salt. And we don't want to over salt, but we do want to add enough salt to the water, because as you bite into the pancake, you want to make sure that all your components are properly seasoned. So we add salt to the water, and I usually put, honestly, to about 1.5 cups to 2 cups of cauliflower when they're covered completely in water. I'm using about 1/8 of a cup of salt. I know that sounds crazy and a little bit oceany, right? But at least it's seasoning and salting all the way through. So now we're pretty much, I think we've achieved that desired texture. As you can see right here, we still have some integrity left of the cauliflower and it's not turning to mush, but it is fork tender. See how it's falling off? That's what we want. So we're gonna now move over to the sink and we're going to strain. The sweet potatoes are already done, and you can see they're fairly uniformly chopped and cooked, which is great. We also salted those as well.
Okay, so we strained our cauliflower
Yeah.
and our sweet potatoes,
Yes.
and then Nancy did one extra step that we want to share with you. So what did we do in the cauliflower?
Yeah, so we strained it. So as soon as it's at that pork tender stage, we pulled it from the stove, and then we put it into the colander and then ran cold water over that, and that prevents it from cooking any further. Because as we continue to make the pancakes, you'll see that you want to see those chunks of everything inside the pancake, so that prevented it from cooking any further. So here we are with both the cauliflower and the sweet potato in the bowl. And so there's some big chunks. Sometimes if you purchase them already in advance and they're already broken apart, they're gonna be bigger chunks, which is no problem. You can see they're already falling apart.
That was a whole cauliflower that I broke with
Oh,
my
was it?
hand.
Oh, I'm
Yes.
impressed. Okay. So either way, you just take your fork and then lightly just cut
your
the
knife.
cauliflower, your knife, and you cut the cauliflower just to kind of, get it mildly cubed.
If I give you more wine, will we?
I would sound a lot better. And then we're gonna go ahead and mix both of these components together, and we're gonna get them ready for the eggs, the flour, and all the other ingredients. So
if you are not a fan of cauliflower, but you like sweet potato, I mean, you could pretty much substitute a different starch.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know how broccoli would taste. It might
Amazing.
be funky. Really?
I've done
you could
it.
do it? Okay.
summer squash, zucchini, eggplant, just as long as it's, you boil it to that texture where, it still holds its shape.
Okay.
But this is an interchangeable recipe, which is so awesome. So once you know that it's eggs, flour, and these very warm flavors that we'll get into, like the cumin and the allspice, which pair very well with, your richer reds. You can interchange this recipe.
So we
and
were
just put
talking
different
about
vegetables.
that earlier, right?
Yeah,
Like interchanging even the flour. So if you are
Yes.
a gluten-free, you don't want to use regular white flour,
Yes.
we could
Chickpea flour is great.
almond
flour
flour.
is great.
I guess you could try coconut.
Yes, if you do try coconut powder, I've found that it works, except you'll have to add a little bit more of liquid because it can be drying,
Okay.
right? So it would probably absorb and pull the moisture out of the ingredients that you're using. So just add, a little more oil perhaps, or you can even add a little water.
If you are in a hurry, could you just use pancake mix?
Oh, yes, except, no, you
Because
could.
that has like everything
Yes.
in it. You don't even need to put eggs, right?
100%.
So like if you wanted
I'm
to
a from scratch person.
I get it.
But thinking like you, and there are many out there that just want to whip one of these up really quick, cut to the chase, pull out your pancake batter, add your eggs.
Well, I'm just wondering, like,
Yeah.
if you are a busy mom,
Yes.
and you have pancake mix that's ready to go, just add water.
Yes.
You don't even need eggs.
Yes.
I mean, you could make something quick. Okay.
Absolutely. That's
Perfect.
a great suggestion. Great suggestion.
All right.
Yeah.
So now,
Okay. So now we're going to move on to cracking the eggs.
Okay.
So,
Well, we should probably sip some wine because at the
Yes.
end of the day, this is about the wine.
That's right.
So salud one more
Salud.
time. All right.
Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the eggs.
Perfect.
And so Sam is gonna go ahead and she's gonna crack the eggs. And the reason why we have 2 bowls is because it's super important. In something this big, you don't wanna lose a shell and then find yourself searching for it. So we take the eggs, we put it in a separate bowl, we crack them, and we go ahead and whip them, and then we add them to our 2 star components.
So before I crack the eggs, I just want to give a shout out to our
yeah.
eggs. See our eggs, guys?
Aw.
So these are really nice and dirty because they are fresh. They're actually from my sister Bridget's chickens. As you know, she's been adventuring in homestead farming and such, and she produces somewhere around 18 eggs a day, and her chickens do follow her around.
I love
She is
that.
a chicken mom. So we are using fresh eggs today.
Nothing like it.
Right?
Nothing like it.
All
I didn't
right.
really know that until just about 1.5 years ago when I had my first farm fresh egg.
Oh, the taste
It's
difference?
so hard to go back.
Yeah.
Not to say we all can do that, but if you do have the opportunity to do it, do it.
You know, when you
Oh.
go back, when you crack an egg and there's a baby chicken in it, like it happened to me once.
Yeah, that takes fresh eggs to a whole new level.
All right.
Okay, so while she's doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and just bring over the other
I
components.
may have cracked some shells in the egg.
Okay, well now's
Clearly,
the
I
time
am not a chef.
to pick them out. That's fine. This is great.
My hands are clean.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right.
And that's why we have that other bowl. This is exactly why. And plus we have cauliflower.
I did it on purpose.
Why?
Just so we could show.
Demonstrate. What happens when?
I can't get that one out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
It's calcium.
and it's important. Like I'm grateful that we got the garlic powder. Garlic powder is important. When you say garlic powder, make sure you get the powder, not granulated. It's not that it's a huge deal, but you do want it to disappear in the recipe. I'm not a big fan of just seeing all kinds of,
Chunks of
granular.
garlic?
Yeah, unless you can put regular garlic in there, but man, that'd be super powerful. But garlic powder is super powerful as it is, but it's just beautiful because it just blends with the whole recipe. Okay, so she's gonna go ahead and whisk those up. Once we add the eggs, and we're gonna go ahead and pour the flour over. Now, I'm a chef, so quantifying everything in a recipe is
Always
more the merrier.
I think we need a drink to the cat.
More the merrier.
She just wants to be a part
I
of
do
everything.
not blame her.
Salut, meow.
When I cook, it's a dash of this and it's a pinch of that. So we do have a recipe for you to follow. That is a great baseline for you to start.
More?
However, if you say, no, that's perfect.
All right.
If you say, oh my gosh, I'm not too big of a fan of cumin, but I like allspice more, feel free to just add more of this, less of that. But at least you have your basic seasonings to start with, and you can get that real flavor of what we're talking about here. So we're gonna go ahead and add the eggs, and we're gonna pour that over. Now, I actually like to use less egg and more ingredients. Sometimes people want a more eggy pancake. Again, feel free to add more eggs, less cauliflower, less sweet potato, but for me, I like them hearty. We're going hearty tonight. So I wanna kind of bulk them up. So we're gonna go ahead and mix this together. And you can see that we're incorporating all the eggs, making sure that it's covering the sweet potato and the cauliflower. This is a great start. We're not gonna add too much salt. Remember why? Because we salted both the sweet potato and the cauliflower already, so we don't wanna over salt it. But we are gonna add just a little bit of pinch at this stage, at the wet stage, because then that way it gets all incorporated into there. And then we're gonna-
And then you need to drink your wine, because I do wanna also have us try our reserve cab. Obviously this is our flagship, the 2020 version. Our reserve cab has been a staple in the family since the beginning, 2002, obviously, when my dad first made this incredible wine. And as most of you know, you do receive it in October, because we do like to share this for our holiday season. And if you have older versions, we always recommend, the aging of about 10 years. So if you do have a 2010 line around, you should have drank it in 2020. But if you still have it, you could try it. Right now, I think in the tasting room, we only have like 2016s and 2018s. I think the 17s are gone, the 15s are gone.
Yeah.
Must have been a favorite amongst the people. But do you want to finish your Malbec so
Yes.
that we could try our reserve cab?
Okay.
I don't mean to rush you. However, I just want to make sure that we get to try both. And then I think we should try to revisit them. So when we're done cooking,
Yes.
we can pour one in one and then taste how they compare
Yes.
with our
The
dish
flavors.
tonight.
Sounds great.
All right. Now that I have a little extra of the reserve cab,
Yes.
what's our next step?
Okay.
So we did the eggs.
Yes, we added the allspice, we added the cumin, we added the garlic powder, we incorporated that. Now we're gonna add our green onions. I love green onions. They're subtle, they're pretty, and they add like incredible flavor. But could you substitute this for, say, cilantro or fresh thyme? You bet.
Ooh.
Yeah, it really is beautiful. So you can add as much green onion as you want. I'm kind of liberal with it. I do love that hit of onion flavor.
Is that the only thing you're liberal with?
Anyhow. Liberal
Cheers.
with wine. Cheers.
Cheers.
Salud. Oh.
Oh, wow. This is So totally different than the Malbec.
It is. It's less tart, but it's very full-bodied. It's very rich. It's mildly jammy.
I mean, you can, exactly. That's what I thought too. As soon as I took the first sip, I could really taste the intensity of all that fruit in there.
Yes.
And you guys, you're gonna love it. I'm
Absolutely.
super excited.
Beautiful.
I think that it's gonna just pair so nicely with this because
even smelling it right now, I smell that and I still have the taste of the wine in my mouth, and I can tell you right now.
I think I found a shell.
Oh, okay.
Cooking with friends.
It's very important to have a second pair of eyes in the kitchen whenever possible.
I'm not even wearing my glasses.
I love it. No, but I can smell the cumin and the allspice just coming up from the recipe, and
So,
just the smell of the wine and taste of wine. I already know it pairs perfectly.
If cumin is one of those flavors that is just not in your palate,
Yes.
What, I mean, other than allspice, like, is there a different, like, could you put like nutmeg?
Oh, you know what is fantastic that would take on a whole new level is smoked paprika.
Oh.
Warm, pretty, flavorful.
Subtle, because it's not overpowering flavor.
It's not overpowering. And then if you took out the green onions and you substituted for cilantro, now you have a whole different flavor profile, but still very complementary to a wine such as the Reserve. Just deep flavors, warm flavors. Yeah.
So in other words, folks, experiment. Like, the best part about being a home cook is to throw things together and seeing what comes out. I know that I've had complete failures in the kitchen. My kids eat it anyway because they don't have a choice. And then the other things, you just try. Like, I think some of the best things that have come out of our kitchens are when we are just like looking in the fridge and like, oh my gosh, I don't have anything to make for dinner tonight. Let me see what I can find. Yeah.
Yes, again, once you have this baseline and you know what texture to look for and you know how to, cook it up in the pan and you know what kind of, the end result, knock yourself out. Take anything out, add anything in, and it's a real fun, interchangeable recipe. So now we're going to go for the binding agent, and that's flour. This is something that, again, as Sam was talking to, we can do chickpea flour, we can do almond flour, we can do coconut flour, experiment. This is all-purpose flour.
And the best part about this dish too is that if you do have children, this is a way to get them involved because it's really easy ingredients. It's easy to fold together all of these ingredients and they can participate.
Absolutely. A lot of people equate pancakes to like sweet pancakes and syrup and butter, but who knew that, you can make something so savory. So warm. Yes. So as you can see, this is not really runny. It's actually thickening up, and that's exactly where we want it. Okay? So it's going to continue to thicken. If you wanted to thicken it even more, you can pop it into the fridge for an hour and then pull it out. And then when you go to ladle it into the skillet, it will hold its shape. And that's primarily what we're looking for. Too many eggs will kind of like
make it runny.
It'll make it runny, but this way it's going to hold. And so I think we're off to a good start right here. So now we're going to take this recipe over to the skillet and we're going to fry these babies up.
Yay!
Yay!
So we have heated our oil.
Yes.
And we're ready to go. So what do we do now?
Okay. So it's really important at this point, when you start to ladle your batter into the skillet, you're looking for the sizzle. Because if the batter sits too long, it'll just get, it'll just sit there and wait for it to get hot. When we add a little bit of the batter into the skillet, we want to hear that sound. We know we're going to get a nice golden brown. So let's go ahead and test that right now. And we have sizzle. So let's go ahead and we're going to start scooping it. Now again, if you wanted to use this batter as a side dish, you would go smaller. Tonight we're going to go kind of big. So I'm going to make them a little hearty.
Main dish.
Yep, it's a main dish. Okay, and what I like to do is, you can see it's already grabbing here. And that's important also for the sizzle, because if the oil is not hot, it's just going to spread. It'll take forever to actually, I guess, coagulate and to group together.
Love that word.
Yeah, coagulate. But you can see that it's already starting to form a nice sized pancake. So what we're gonna do is, while that's on the stove, we're gonna turn it down. We wanna make sure we don't have the heat too high, because then it would actually burn the bottom. We want it, now that it's grabbed, we wanna just turn it down a tad bit, maybe on medium heat, and we're gonna wait for that golden brown to appear on the bottom. And it's gonna firm up and it's gonna be ready for us to flip to the other side. So this is the brown we're looking for. So it's just exactly where we want it to be. It's got enough flavor, enough brown, and we flip. And you can see that there's no give right here, which means it's cooked in the middle. That's super important. We're gonna go ahead and turn that on real low and just keep that nice and warm. And then we're gonna go over and see what the final plating looks like.
Awesome. So we're gonna plate this as a main dish.
Yes.
Because we did make the larger, heartier pancake.
Correct.
So, have at it.
All right. So we're almost to the final stage of presentation. So here we have 2 hearty sweet potato cauliflower pancakes. And what I typically like to do, and what they do in restaurants, so there's no guessing as far as like what's in that. You usually put a little bit of what's in that on top. So what I'd like to do right now is to take some of the sweet potato and some of the cauliflower and just pour it over the top, so everybody kind of knows what is already inside the pancakes.
Add a little color.
Adds a little color, an extra, extra crunch, extra flavor. Okay, and so once we have that on there, then I'm gonna add some garnish, which is the green onions, which is so pretty. And last but not least, they're flying all over the place, this is the amazing sauce. So this has stone ground mustard. This has a little bit of red wine vinegar, so there's a little tart element in there as well. It says honey, red chili pepper flakes, black pepper. And so there's a little bit of heat, a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of tartness, and it's beautiful, it's warm, and it just pairs very, very well with the cauliflower pancakes. So we beautifully drizzled that over the top. Just for presentation purposes, and you can of course add more to your taste. We're gonna go ahead and keep that sauce on the side of the plate so that you can add as much as you want. And then of course,
Little Doffo olive oil.
some glistening, beautiful finishing oil from Doffo, and we're gonna add that to the top, and just a
Pours
nice,
quite fast, so be careful.
a nice finishing drizzle. And I want to see the color on the plate.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. But that's okay.
All right, olive oil is so
okay.
good for you and pairs so nicely with
It's
our wines.
The best.
So I guess it's time to taste.
Yes.
What I want you to do is actually we're going to take a sip of each of the wines.
Okay.
We're going to take a little nibble. We're going to then taste the wine again.
Yeah.
And let's just talk and see how we are pairing this, talking through the taste of all of the different flavors kind of
Sounds
going
great.
on our palate.
Sounds great.
And then we're going to switch glasses because
Okay.
I don't got cooties and I know you don't.
I mean,
so.
no, not at all.
So I just also want to shout out to Nancy and thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
doing
Thank
this
you,
with
my
me
friend.
and writing our recipe for us.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
And salud.
Salud.
So we sipped. Let's
sipped.
taste.
Let's
I'm
taste.
excited to taste this.
Excellent. I
Very
mean,
good. I mean,
toot
it
toot.
is your recipe.
So
See how it goes with the wine.
I have some in my mouth, and I can tell you right away.
Wow. So on the cab,
Yes.
you get, I mean, the cumin obviously stands out with the cab, and then a little bit of that fruit kind of seeps in. How are you feeling
Absolutely.
it with the Malbec?
Yeah. So I love the sauce.
Mm.
I love the layers of the sauce with the tartness of the Malbec.
Mm-hmm.
This is a perfect complement to the sweet potato as well. Yeah.
I'm excited.
I'm feeling more fresh vibes,
Mhm.
fruity vibes, tart vibes from the Malbec, and then it's pulling out the brighter, livelier flavors of the sauce and the sweet potato.
Some beautiful words. We're gonna switch glasses.
Okay,
We can cheers.
let's
the
do
sip.
it. Give us a reason.
I love Malbec.
Ooh.
Oh,
Oh, I know where this is going.
yeah.
Yeah.
Totally different.
Oh yeah. Warmer.
So
All
good.
right. So I got the actual warmth of the potato, of the pancake itself. I got the cauliflower, and I got the allspice and the cumin in there. And that is really jammy, sweeter, full-bodied, and just warm. I get warmth from that, and that pulled out all those seasonings in there. How about
So
you?
I agree with you with the Malbec. I felt like the sauce really came through vibrantly.
Yes.
And you know, even on that first sip of the Malbec, and then all of a sudden the bite, you could really kind of taste like the mustard and the honey just blending
Yes.
with that sweetness of the sweet potato.
Absolutely.
So yeah, really interesting flavor profiles, guys. Totally different from anything that we've ever done, because we always stick to these, you know, Italian, Argentinian style foods. And so I love that this kind of brings, you know, your heritage and brings it with our wines. So thank you again. And,
yes, my pleasure.
One more
Thank
time,
you, everybody.
Let's cheers to that. And from our family to yours, guys, salud.
Salud.
Thank you so much for being a part of our wine club.
Thank you.